Hey everyone, Mr. Molo. Going to go through some of these review questions with you. Remember, you can use your notes and stuff on the test tomorrow. So probably a good idea to write these down and not just go through and fill them in. This way you kind of have an example. So there's 21 questions on the review. I will be going through all the evens with you. So that's 10, which leaves you 11 to do with the rest of class. All right, so when you graph an inequality, use an open dot when you use which symbols. Okay, so remember we have two dots. We either have an open circle or we have a filled in circle. And so we use an open dot when we have these two symbols right here. And then remember the difference is those numbers are not included in there. Okay, so if you tell your mom you need like at least $20, that means that's $20 or more. A $20 bill would be okay. So that would be a filled in circle because $20 is included in the possible amounts of money that she can give you. If you tell your mom you need more than $20, then $20 isn't okay. You need $21 or $20.01 or whatever it's going to be. So $20 is not included in the range of answers. So we use, when it's an open dot, we're using just the less than or greater than symbols. And if it's a closed dot, it's the filled in circle. And that's because the answer is included or not included. All right, what is the value of y that satisfies the inequality below? Okay, so remember with these, we're just doing the opposite. So the max we have our two-step problem. This is just a one-step problem. And this problem says y divided by 2. So the opposite of dividing by 2 is multiplying by 2. So I'm going to multiply by 2 on both sides. So on the left side it cancels, so I'm still left with y. And on the right side, I have 13 times 2, which is 26. Now, some of you might be saying, Mr. Muller, there's no 26 on the answer key. And you're right. It's asking which one satisfies. So it's asking which one is true for the problem. So like negative 13 is greater than 26. Nope, that's not true. 13 is greater than 26. Nope, that's not true. 27 is greater than 26. Yes, that's true. So you're looking for the one that makes the statement true. That's what it means by satisfied. So even though the answer is y is greater than 26, the number that satisfies it is 27 because 27 is bigger than 26. Next one's kind of a review here, talking about constant and proportionality. So it wants us to write the equation. So remember, all equations start with y equals, and then we have some number, and then x. And remember, to find the constant of proportionality, you are dividing every y divided by x. And it doesn't matter which one you pick because it all ends up being the same. So if you have a calculator and we pick the first set of numbers, 80 divided by 10 is 8. 120 divided by 15 is 8. 160 divided by 20 is 8. 200 divided by 25 is 8. So no matter what, we get 8, 8, 8, 8. So even if you picked a different number, so then our answer is this bottom one here, y equals 8x. All right, I think we're on number 8 now. So which of the following is the solution for the inequality below? So this is pretty much as hard as it gets. So I'm going to write it over here so I have some more room. So I have 4x minus 7 is less than or equal to 13. Okay, so two-step problem. And like I said, pretty much as hard as it gets here. So I'll draw my line down the symbol there. So remember, our first step is always to add or subtract. In this case, since it's a positive or a minus 7, I'm going to add 7 to each side. So on the left side, that cancels out. 13 plus 7 is 20. So first step, always adding or subtracting, never looking to do anything else. And then our second step is always looking to multiply or divide. And remember, we're always doing the opposite. So right now that says 4 times x. So I would end up dividing each side by 4. And divide this side by 4. So on the left side, I'm just left with x because the 4's canceled. And on the right side, 20 divided by 4 is 5. So x is less than or equal to 5. So that third option there. Okay, and then remember, if this would have been a negative 4x, we would have had to flip the sign. So it would have been x is greater than or equal to whatever. But since it's a positive 4x, we don't have to worry about that. All right, number 10. Which of the following values does not satisfy the inequality below? So very similar to what was it, number 6. So this one's looking for which one is the answer. The number 10 is looking for which one is not the answer. So 3 out of the 4 would make this equation true. One of them isn't. And so remember in class I talked about how we can kind of just guess and check and kind of try them. So we could just plug in 9 minus 2 is greater than or equal to 3. Well, 9 minus 2 is 7. 7 is greater than or equal to 3. So 9 works. I could try 7. 7 minus 2 is greater than or equal to 3. Well, 7 minus 2 is 5. So 5 is greater than or equal to 3. So 7 works. 11 minus 2 is greater than or equal to 3. 11 minus 2 is 9. 9 is greater than or equal to 3. And lastly, 4. 4 minus 2 is greater than or equal to 3. Well, 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 is not greater than or equal to 3. So it's going to be that 4 that's going to work. Otherwise, you could just solve it like a normal problem. So this is just a one step. So minus 2. So you're going to add 2 to each side. So those cancel. Add 2 to this side. So 3 plus 2 is 5. So any number bigger than 5 is going to be a solution, which makes sense. 9 is bigger than 5. 7 is bigger than 5. 11 is bigger than 5. So the one that does not satisfy it is the one that's smaller than 5, which is 4. All right. Tony has $250 in his bank account. He buys X video games for $25 each. What is the inequality Tony can use to find how many games he can buy and still have more than $100 left in his account? Okay, so this is where we have that formula we've been talking about. So what is our starting amount? And then we have plus or minus the change. So what changes, what happens? And then we have that sign that we got to figure out. So I'm going to put a question mark. And then we have like the total. Okay, so we kind of use this for all of our word problems. So what is the starting amount? How much money does Tony have to start? And it says right there, first sentence, Tony has $250. So that's going to be his starting amount. Okay, and then what changes? Well, what changes is he's going to buy some video games. And since he's buying the video games, that means he's spending money. So it's going to be a minus. And we don't know how many video games he's buying. But there's that magic word each. So remember, when we see the word each, that's usually the one that gets our X. So $250 minus $25 for each video game he gets. And then he still wants to have more than, so it helps me with its symbol. So more than $100. So he starts with $250. What changes is him buying video games. And then he wants to have more than, $100 in his account. So if you look at some of the possible answers here, so this one's kind of close, except it has the minus 250. Well, he's not minusing 250. This one has him adding $25. So maybe like if he sold video games for $25, that would be a logical answer. So we're looking at this one here. He starts with that 250, starts buying video games for $25 each, but he still wants to have more than $100 at the end. Lauren used the inequality below to find the maximum number of tablet computers she can purchase to fit her budget. Okay, so 95x is less than or equal to 575. What is the greatest number of tablet computers Liz can buy? So she has $575, and each tablet computer cost $95. So we got to figure out how many she can buy here. So 95 times x has to be less than or equal to $575. Okay, so it's time, so I'm going to divide and divide. So x is less than, and when we put this into our calculator, we get a decimal, so we get something like 6.05. Okay, so how many tablet computers can she buy? Well, they can't break up the tablet computers into 6.05 tablet computers, so it's just going to end up being 6 tablet computers. She can't afford 7. She can afford 6 and have a little bit money left over, but not enough to get to 7. So since you can't break a tablet computer into 0.05, you're going to end up only being able to buy 6. All right, this one says, what is the first step to solve the inequality below? So remember, we're always doing the opposite here. So that says 4 times x. So our one and only step would be to divide each side by 4. So that's second option there. All right, 2 more. What is the solution to the inequality below? So like I said last time, this is pretty much as hard as it gets, where we have to do our 2 steps to solve. I'll rewrite it so I have some room. So 7x plus 3 is less than or equal to 45. I'll draw my line down the sign. So it says plus 3. So I'm going to do the opposite and subtract 3. Still left with 7x on the left side there. 45 minus 3 is 42. So 7x is less than or equal to 42. That says 7 times x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 7. Divide both sides by 7. So on the left side, I'm left with x. And on the right side, I'm left with 42 divided by 7, which is 6. So my answer is x is less than or equal to 6. And as I see this in here, make sure you don't put x is less than or equal to 6, because they already have the x is less than or equal to. So make sure when you put it in, you just put 6 as your answer. All right, last one. Where'd it go? Which graph correctly shows the graph for the inequality below? So 6 is less than or equal to x. Ooh, so this one's going to be kind of tricky here, because remember, we can write an inequality 2 ways. We can say like 4 is less than 5, or we could say 5 is greater than 4. And usually it's kind of trickier when that number comes first. Well, at least for my brain it is. So 6 is less than or equal to x. So remember, we could flip that, and instead of saying 6 is less than or equal to x, I could say 6 or x is greater than or equal to 6. In my brain, this makes much more sense that I know x is greater than or equal to 6. Okay, well, first of all, we can eliminate 2 right off the bat, because I know since it has that equal to there, I know it's not going to be b, because I know I need a filled in circle. And I know it's not going to be d, because we need that filled in circle. So without even doing any math yet, I know a and c are my only options. And even if you don't remember to flip it, you can just plug in numbers and kind of see which ones make sense. So like if I plug in like 0, so 6 is less than or equal to 0. Well, no, 6 isn't less than or equal to 0. So this one's not going to work, because 0 shouldn't be shaded because it's not an answer. Or if I pick, like 12, so 6, oops, 6 is less than or equal to 12. Well, yeah, that makes sense. 6 is less than or equal to 12. So it's true. So that part should be shaded. So remember, you don't have to flip it and rewrite it. That just makes more sense in my brain. Otherwise, you could just kind of plug in numbers and figure out which one should be shaded and which one should not. All right, so good luck on the last 11 problems that you are doing. Let me know if you have any questions.